Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to be talking about X Magicka incursions, and I just finished my run a couple hours ago and it actually went extremely well. So this is not going to be like a full-on complete guide where I'm going to be talking about some of the more popular strategies that I have heard thus far, involving either Serpent or Bullseye or Bishop or a handful of other champions. This is going to be, the story of how I did it. I had actually a very, very good run. I only ended up using like 2 revives in zone 25, in room 25, because I got slightly tired and distracted. But for most part, it was perfectly smooth run. Obviously, I did get KO'd here and there, but I managed to revive and or heal myself either within the fight or within the nodes that I got allocated to me. So first things first, I'm going to show you the hacks that I used, and then I'm going to explain what did they do and why, which champions they use as well. So I started with regenerative assimilation. That is the defensive sustainability hack, which actually was quite helpful because I did use CGR and I used Werewolf by Night. And initially I used Serpent, and all of those champions have power gain mechanics in their kit. And whenever you cross a bar of power, you just, gain a lot of regen on block. So that helped sustainability quite a lot. Then I selected strategic movement hack as my first boss hack that I could pick from, with the base idea that strategic movement helps virtually every single champion that you can possibly pick if you need it along the way. And on top of that, it also gives you easy openings, which is quite important when the block damage is absolutely major and massive, because you can always just dex once and then attack opponent. I also knew that I'm going to be adding in Thing at some point, and Thing's Nullify immunity will help me, to deal with a lot of annoying nodes where this might become a hindrance. Then we have Draining Degeneration. This wasn't the most useful in hindsight, but it was still quite helpful because you could just, never worry about pushing opponents to level 3. Really, I don't think I ate a single level 3, and that's because, the power drain is relatively small. The degen is quite nice, and with some champions you can do a ton of degen damage as well, but it was mainly there just so I can be aggressive and I don't necessarily have to worry about too much about pushing the opponent's red as well. And it worked very well with Thing when you start spamming heavy attacks, because you can get multiples of those power drain debuffs on opponent as well as degens. And then later on, I picked Buffcorn and Perpetual Offense, giving me promise on my special attacks. And then, as the minor hacks, I had Attack Surge, Debuff Count, Attack Surge, Unique Buff Count, Special Attack Increase, Special Refund, Vector Enforcement, Defensive Recovery. This is synergizing with the sustainability hack that I had. Damaging Effect Upgrade, Buff Upgrade Fury, because it's synergized with strategic movement. Prowess Potency Increase, Fury Potency Increase, and obviously some of the major hacks. So the end result of that was by far and away the best for CGR. And after this, I'm going to explain you which champions I used as well. Because I just used basically 4 champions. I did set up Odin, but just take a look at that CGR fight. Ridiculous, because with all of those hacks, I only needed to finish a combo with light, finish a combo with medium. I was at 2 bars of power, and life's good. I already have the Fate Seal on, and that's it. And that's a massive boss, right? That's a big boss. So it regened a bit in that fight, and the fight lasted like less than 15 seconds. And whichever fight I could use CGR for, that was pretty much the story. You just nuked everybody incredibly quickly. Level 2 or level 2 and level 1, and the job was done. Obviously with Thing and Werewolf by Night, it was a bit slower. So, what I used. Werewolf by Night was my kind of MVP in terms of sustainability, especially early on, when you can still take some hits and make some mistakes and afford that. Later on, he didn't do quite as well, but still, he put in a ton of work, and the reason for that is because of his playstyle, where you don't need to necessarily hit the opponent a lot. You always have a lot of debuffs on the opponent. You gain a ton of power, and you can regen, because Werewolf by Night regen becomes significantly more potent. The lower your health is. So when you take some chip damage, when you eat a hit here and there, Werewolf by Night can definitely hang in there with the best of them, especially if you do give him the Odin pre-fight, which also prevents him from losing more than 15% of his max health per hit. Then if you're relatively healthy, you can typically survive a combo or a special and then just kind of bounce back. So yeah, Werewolf by Night is definitely a very, very good kind of like a problem solver and also sustainability attacker. Then, as I mentioned, the MVP for my run effectively was CGR. Any fight that you could use CGR for, he just absolutely destroyed and nuked. With those hacks, he just blew things up. The super quick fights, super stress-free as well. And then I started my run with Serpent, but he was a bit redundant in between CGR and whatnot, and I knew I'm going to be swapping out one of my champions who's like effectively doing the least for me for the Thing in the later rooms. I'm going to explain exactly why that as well, but initially Serpent's quite cool. He did get me through some very, very rough matchups as well because of his immortality and his immunity to Fate Seal. Kabam seems to be loving from the Fate Seal pretty much everywhere. And yeah, you can spam specials with him, and that's quite helpful with the Draining Degeneration hack and so on and so forth. Overall, he did his job fine, but definitely the Thing is what you're after. The Thing answers so many problem fights. If you do not have like Buffcorn or any other means of healing him at all, then I recommend running Recall Masteries with him and possibly even, selecting the other champions that handle Recall Masteries quite well, because then he effectively gets infinite amount of regeneration as well in the fights. A lot of people ask who are not as familiar with Thing throughout the run. Yes, you do need Thing Awakened, and yes, you do need Sig200. Effectively, for this purpose, Sig 200 rank 4 6-star Thing will be more useful than unduped or low Sig 7-star rank 3 Thing. It's all about that protection, because after like zone 11, every time opponent touches you, on a parry and a blocked hit, hits you in the face, so on and so forth, you trigger protection. And at max Sig, you have 80% damage reduction plus 1 for each rock stack. So try to keep your rock stacks at 15 to 20, and you effectively take 5 to 0% damage. And Thing basically becomes immortal, or at the very least, very, 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 very hard to kill. Obviously, his damage sucks, so you do need to pay attention that you do have, significant damage dealing hacks. Thing typically synergizes very well with those hacks that require you to be throwing heavy attacks, like, that Toxic Advance or the degen ones and so on and so forth, because it's quite convenient with Thing to do so, because you can kind of start spamming them in the corner, and even if your opponent hits you, he's just going to trigger protection and you can take very little damage. That said, again, rank 4 Thing for a run like this would absolutely be fine and would still put in a ton of work. Mine is rank 5, not ascended, but the most important thing is get that signature level up to 200. And those are basically the 4 champions that I used. As I said, this isn't like a full guide. I will be putting one together on Monday, because I'm having some very important business to attend to later today and hopefully all day tomorrow. So Monday is the most realistic timeline for an actual guide. But people have been doing extremely well with some shortlist candidates, if you guys want to know them. Check that in a sec. Like Bishop with a certain set of hacks is an absolute monster. So is Werewolf by Night, obviously, as showed CGR. Serpent has been doing quite well for plenty of people also. White Tiger, I've been hearing quite good things. Thing, definitely I mentioned. Bullseye with Hemostatic Charge. I have heard some people do quite well with Zemo. And we definitely do have Deathless Guillotine, because that is basically infinite inbuilt regeneration as well. Those are kind of like the more commonly used champions that I have heard for this run. Obviously, there will be people who use, different options. But yeah, in between Bishop, Werewolf by Night, CGR, Thing, White Tiger, the Serpent, Toad in theory actually should be quite good too. Anyways, that's it for this video. And I hope you guys are having a fantastic weekend. I'm gonna catch you guys soon. Bye-bye. Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about the next